Sweet dreams are made of bliss. With art by Frushii.
Team Sweet wins! Talk about a sugar rush!
Once the camera stopped rolling and Deep Cut dropped their outro pose, Frye resisted the urge to leap to her feet once again, or roll across the tatami mats of the studio, or any number of excitable actions her brain could conjure up in the moment. The trio returned to their seats in fluid motion after Anarchy Splatcast filming wrapped up, waiting until the end of the hour before heading home as usual. What surprised Frye was a simultaneous hug from her bandmates, making her accept the reality of the Splatfest results. She had finally won her first event, and it felt absolutely incredible. Nerve-wracking, but incredible. So, if we're all free tonight, why don't we go knock out that candy buffet? Shiver asked, although her voice was muffled from in between Big Man's fins and Frye's shoulder. At least we can say we tried it. It'll be my treat. Pun intended. It felt almost magical how the anxiety from the results announcement dissolved for a few moments as their warm embrace helped quiet Frye's restless mind. It was second nature to rush for her phone and see what the kids of Splatsville were saying on the internet, what memes were being made from their banter. This time, though, Frye wanted to bask in the moment. She'd check later on. So, throwing her head back with laughter, she shouted,
"Yeah, let's make it a night to remember."
Big Man was especially grateful they could find a train car to accommodate the three of them en route to Inner Splatsville during the evening rush. He turned to smile at Shiver while Frye leaped and bounded ahead of them, joyous as could be. As the sun dipped lower in the sky at the halfway point between afternoon and evening, golden dashes of light flickered on the seats across from the trio. The monorail provided cozy travels, weaving in between industrial complexes and apartment buildings which zipped by in a blur. Hushed whispers were heard from Frye as she showed off dazzling fan art of herself and a few selfies she'd taken with members of Team Sweet before halftime. As part of her victory celebration, Frye decided to keep the pastel purple ink gradient on her tentacles for the rest of the week. It had been one of her favorite hues so far. The length of their train ride succeeded in shifting the three into conversation about the diversity of sweets. Shiver, being the overly thoughtful octoling she was, insisted on having items selected from the online menu before they even arrived. And this resulted in teasing from Big Man and Frye. Hi. Not gonna let yourself be surprised for once. I wouldn't expect anything less. Of course not. Saves me a lot of stress from being overwhelmed during the moment. Thank you very much. She huffed. Frye set her phone down in her lap and started to tap her fingers on the seat.
I think I'm gonna go live on Instagram once we get our food. I wouldn't have been able to do this without the fans, after all.
Gonna give them a mukbang for free? At least make sure they can subscribe. I'd have to agree with Shiver on this one. Frye's tapping grew quicker as she blurted out.
They can support us in different ways.
She lowered her volume, quickly glancing around when she remembered they were still on the train.
I do what I want. Let me be silly.
Fine. But never forget your worth, Frye. Not ever. Shiver said with a smile. More like my net worth, am I right? Frye responded, playfully elbowing Big Man, who laughed in response. In mere seconds, their corner of the train car had erupted into laughter from all of Deep Cut. Moments passed in comfortable silence until the group of three arrived at their stop, the eatery about 5 minutes away in walking distance. The sweets buffet, aptly named Splash of Ambrosia, was an ordinary building that wouldn't have stood out without the neon signs that flashed in bright pink, or the giant tower that was probably meant to resemble a spoonful of whipped cream to the left. It's even gaudier in person, Shiver said, wincing slightly. Big Man shook them by the shoulders. Aye! Don't say that out loud. We have a group chat for a reason. Okay, so you agree then? Frye dissolved into more laughter of her own. The trio were always able to bounce jokes off of each other like this on and off set, even while standing in front of a peculiar location where passerby were slowly starting to notice their identities. In all honesty, it would be quite difficult to miss Big Man's silhouette in the most packed crowd or dim alleyway. Once they were inside, the staff practically rushed to attend to them, and due to a little praise from Shiver, they received the best seats in the house. Definitely not because they gave out their autographs. Frye sailed into the middle of a curved bench, its seating plush to the touch, surrounded by Shiver and Big Man on either side, just as they would sit during filming. It felt so natural. Soft chatter from the other booths let Frye's thoughts drift away as she leaned forward onto the table. Spicy versus sweet versus sour. This first Splatfest of the year was a mildly anticipated event. How exciting it was to imagine what the remaining months had in store for her group. Infinite possibilities bloomed in her mind. She remembered the smiling faces of all the Inkfish cheering for them, their aspirations apparent in each determined expression. Crew would hoist the 100 times and 333 times battle flags up on the Deep Cuts floats and ready their cameras for commemorative photos. It was a new addition to the Splatfest experience that thrilled Frye just as much. She might never get tired of seeing the winning teams run up to the terminal to book their next photo appointment. Frye continued with her dance routine, where it was etched into her soul, watching as Inklings and Octolings alike gathered on a platform below her, grinning with excitement. Some were admittedly a bit weary or downtrodden at times, expressing how they might need to take a break from the festivities. In spite of their exhaustion, another teammate shouted, "We can't stop now! Don't you want Frye to win? Never back down, never what?" Frye, the Inkling in lavender, shook her head, flawlessly breaking the dance number, as she decided to intervene in this scenario. Being the oldest of 4 siblings had its benefits when it came to speaking with younger children. Frye bent down to their level. Hey, I know Splatfest is only here once a month, and you don't want to miss a second, but I would rather my team fight for me when they're all rested up, she stated firmly, almost all in one breath. I love your fire, love the attitude. Just please take a breather when you need to, alright?
But Frye, don't you dare disagree. Our queen has spoken.
An Octoling nearby shouted. Frye only brought a palm to her forehead and chuckled at the fan behavior before her. A sudden gesture caused one of the team members, an Inkling wearing an MC princess crown, to blush and hop off of the float with the rest of their group.
Way to show him who's boss, Team Sweet!
Frye exclaimed triumphantly before returning to song and dance. The float continued its path through the Splatsville streets. Each time her iridescent purple platform passed the battle lobby, there was a new sight to take in, such as messages of encouragement on the signboards purely devoted to her, that thrilled at every turn. Frye would always be fond of the electric sea of color left in her wake while she twirled to her heart's content. On her regularly scheduled breaks, she contemplated sneaking into a few matches from time to time, just for the initial reaction. Alas, idols were not expected to actually register for their own team. Were they idols? Not in the traditional sense. Such a prim and proper title was reserved for Inkopolis celebrities. What the 3 of them were doing by hosting Splatfest traditions was not much different. Frye herself, being a guiding light and beacon for the residents of Splatsville, felt like a divine duty. The clinking of glasses nearby interrupted Frye's reverie, and she was grounded in the present again. Happily so, as a tiny robot waiter rolled to their table with drinks. An assortment of multicolored glasses containing sparkling fruit juices joined their water cups. An urchin dressed in server's attire brought plates piled high with snacks out to the table promptly after. As to be expected, Frye had ordered a variety of desserts that spanned an array of cultures, some long lost from the human era, but preserved nonetheless. She began with a spoonful of basindi, a sweet condensed milk dessert, enjoying how it melted easily after the first bite. Aye, it's so nice that they offer to bring out your first couple of orders. Right? Our darling Frye would get swamped with photo requests if she went out to the buffet right now. Shiver chimed in, while sprinkling chili flakes over an already spiced dish of curry. Unwrapping a pair of disposable chopsticks next, Frye felt her face flush with happiness and proudly crossed her arms, a determined look settling on her face.
Nothing I can't handle. It's an honor.
Big Man brought his fins together in somewhat of a praying motion on the table, appearing to be in thought. Do you two ever just stop to think about how far we've really gotten? Not just as a trio, and our own individual stories and whatnot. Shiver and Frye looked across the table at the contemplative manta ray. I'm really proud of you, Frye. Yeah, Shiver makes sure we're paid for our time appropriately, but we wouldn't be half as successful without your hard work and passion.
But what's all this?
You're getting eerily nostalgic all of a sudden, Vicky. Frye laughed it off, despite feeling overwhelmed with emotion. Emotions she wasn't sure she wanted to let out on air, or in a packed restaurant. Shiver, intuitive as they usually were, noticed this again. Frye, give yourself some credit. He's right, and you know it. She sighed. And I'm glad you won this one. I know you don't like letting others see you cry, but you don't have to put on your tough girl act for long.
Whatever, Shiv. You're one to talk, and I could give you words of affirmation right now and you'd be too stunned to speak.
Frye shot back playfully. She felt the corners of her eyes betraying her and stinging a little, however. Listen, Frye. You deserve to be happy. Rub this away in our faces for like the next month or so. Just not too much, though. Admittedly, those words were all it took for the waterworks to truly begin.
This is gonna get all over my sweets.
Frye whined, bringing her arms up to shield her eyes as tears still flowed behind them. The octoling held out a stack of napkins, and the manta ray patted a fin to the small of their friend's back. Frye relaxed then, experiencing both fond recollections of the past and the present moment's bliss.
Thanks, both of you.
It was all hers to cherish. This sweet, sweet victory. I want to give a big thank you to Eel Deal Zine for bringing me on to write not just one, but two pieces for this incredible celebration of Frye. Frye and Naga, we love you so much. And while the zine was centered around Frye, I wanted my stories to depict how they all work together so well as a trio, and just show the others appreciating Frye. This year it'll be 3 years of Splatoon 3, and Deep Cut has given us so many wonderful moments with their Splatfests. These lovable Blorbos will always have a place in my heart, and I really hope that I could do them justice in these couple of fan works. Thank you to everyone who has bought a copy of the Eel Deal Zine. I hope you enjoy, and whether you have or have not been able to, that you enjoyed the two narrations on the channel thus far. Looking forward to wherever the next couple of years take us. Thank you for listening, and catch ya later.